Hello, I'm Kate Bamford from Australian Women in Beekeeping. I'd like to introduce you to Simon Turner, who is from, and I can never pronounce it, Malaika Honey from Uganda. So Simon, welcome to the interview.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thank you. And you're visiting in Australia for a brief period of time, I understand?
That's right.
Yeah. So let's get cracking because we've got about 20 minutes to do this interview.
Sure.
What got you to this
Into beekeeping?
Malaika Honey?
Malaika.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's Malaika, which is Swahili.
For?
So if you don't know Swahili, now you know a word. It means angel.
Angel. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's called Malaika Honey. I established it in 2006. I went to Uganda in 2005 to trade in honey.
Yep.
And I was working for these guys, and they sent me across there, and there was no honey. But I toured around, and people were very interested in beekeeping. They weren't producing a lot of honey, and of course people were very poor. Uganda's a very beautiful country. There's a lot of nectar source.
Where exactly is Uganda?
Uganda, I guess you'd say roughly it's in the middle. So if you look at a map of Africa, you can see there's a big lake, Lake Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
It tends to be prominent. So it's part of the East African Federation. So you've got Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and then little Rwanda and Burundi's in there as well. Okay. So Kenya's to the east, and Congo to the west, South Sudan to the north, and Lake Victoria and Tanzania to the south. Okay. So it's not a big country, and it's maybe about, I should look it up, it's about maybe the 8th of the size of Australia, maybe the 10th.
Wow. Yeah. And what's the population like there?
It's more than Australia.
Wow. You're crammed into this little
space.
space.
So when I come back here, I like camping and stuff like that. Yeah. So you can really, enjoy nature.
Because you are an Australian, aren't you? You were born
I'm
here in Australia?
Yeah, from this region. So.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So getting you to trade in honey.
Correct.
Okay, so your background is in what industry?
So I did graphic design, and I was doing I worked in advertising. Yep. And when I went over there, I found this. There's a lot of marketing and sales, and I do a lot of the graphics work even now, and but then it just sort of opened up to be doing a whole lot more. Of course, it was in the beginning. It wasn't my intention, actually. I went there to trade, and then there was no honey. And then when I went back again, the deal was with some local guys, as I was telling you earlier, that they would supply and we would trade it. But then that didn't happen either. Okay. So.
Because there wasn't a structure in place, or because there wasn't honey, or?
Yeah, basically for a lot of reasons, perhaps, but the honey wasn't there.
No honey.
And no honey, So I was pretty much stranded. Uganda's, over in Africa, as we know, and so I thought, but I loved beekeeping, and I loved the cause of creating jobs for people in rural communities, and so I was sort of swept away a bit by that, and also beer was cheap in Uganda.
Well, it's a what sort of climate is it?
It's really nice. Yeah, it's on the equator. So all year round the weather is the same.
Beer drinking weather.
Well, it's at altitude. It's about just under 2,000 meters. Okay. So it's pretty amiable, but so as a weather, you'd think it's really tropical on the equator, but that's down on the coast, like in Mombasa. Okay. But it's really nice weather, and a lot of living. There's a lot of outdoor living. Yeah. It's a really nice country. So, but of course, it seems to be stuck in poverty, and so I got into beekeeping. I went over there. I set up a company to trade, and then I went up country looking for honey and seeing what farmers are doing, and that was my entry point into beekeeping. Prior to that, had not done
Nothing
beekeeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never held a hive tool.
Nothing. No, none of that.
Okay.
But, look, I don't know if I even thought about it, to be honest. Yeah.
So a very big J curve for you, learning.
It was, yeah. That and also doing business.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, actually running a business. I had done some in the past, but nothing like this.
Okay.
And it's really expanded out greatly over what's been 12, 13 years now.
Yeah.
Coming up to 14 years.
Okay, so the traditional way of beekeeping over in Uganda is...
So that they have a tradition of honey hunting.
Yep.
So there's this, so going and looking for honey in trees.
Yep.
Empty logs.
So
stuff like
wild
that.
colonies.
So there's that, and then there's log beekeeping, traditional beekeeping you call it, or they call it. People talk of beekeeping, behaving or behaving or something. There's a bit of a play on words there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just having the beehives and then coming and get honey. So I actually advocate for top bar beekeeping, which is for people that don't know. Is a top bar hive, which is just the top bar, so it's not the full frame,
so
which is a Langstroth in a box.
Yep.
It's got angled sides, so the bees will make the honeycomb in a sort of containery form.
Yep.
And if the walls are angled, say 120 degrees, they don't attach the honeycomb to the side. So that's what we call a transitional hive.
Okay.
And it's a movement from the log hive to movable frame technology. Right. So we call it transitional, and then you'd move into something like Langstroth. But from my experience, I've never seen Langstroth as being successful.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so the extraction process is with spinners and things, or is it honey on the comb, or?
We were with top bar. Yep. We basically we get the honeycomb and we pull the frames out and we chop it off.
Yep. Okay.
So and we chop it into a bucket and then we process it from there.
So
you're not uncapping and then spinning out.
Oh, okay.
So there's a benefit in that. You don't need an extractor.
Yep.
And we're seeing that as the most applicable form of beekeeping.
Okay.
So a lot of beekeeping, a lot of honey production is coming from the log hives.
Yep.
But we want people to move forward because we want them to interact with the bees. And the honey hunting is quite rough. A lot of people don't even wear bee suits. Wow. They'll have maybe 50, 100 hives, but they have no bee suit. And they'll just use a lot of smoke and fire.
Yeah.
And so the bees tend to be a bit aggressive as well. So
now, talking about that, what type of bees do you have? Are they? Did you say Africanized?
Africanized is in South America.
So what?
They've moved up through Latin America into the US.
So what bees?
So the African bees, but it's Apis mellifera.
Okay.
Scutellata.
Okay.
Is the genus.
Okay.
So it's the common honeybee, but it's a bit smaller in Africa, and they're also more aggressive.
Okay.
So when I came back here and I started doing beekeeping, it was like paradise. It was really it was completely different.
Okay.
So that's been a challenge. There's been, of course, a few challenges, and I've really enjoyed the process of learning beekeeping, learning what farmers are doing, and then thinking, how can we move forward? How can we progressively move forward?
And I did, because I actually went to Peninsula Beekeepers Association.
Yeah, great
bee
group.
meeting recently,
fantastic. Yeah.
And you were talking about the elephant fence.
Elephant bee fencing.
Yeah, is that a concept that you guys came up with?
No. It's been used for generations.
Yeah.
And I think from discussing with other beekeepers, I think Ghana or Cameroon, from memory, they had some fables associated with the bees and elephants, but I thought it was a bit of a joke actually. But I was requested to build some elephant bee fencing along the border of Queen Elizabeth National Park, and basically the concept is that elephants are afraid of bees. Mm-hmm. They attack and sting them around their eyes and up their trunks and stuff like this.
Okay.
So you create a barrier by hanging beehives 10 meters apart.
Yeah.
And then you'll string them together using a bit of wire.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a tripwire.
Oh, okay.
And you create these fences.
Yep.
And then when the elephants come along, they knock the wires.
Yes.
It shakes the bees, and the bees are aggressive.
Yep.
I guess in this instance, it's a good reason for keeping them aggressive.
Yeah.
And then they'll attack the elephant, and it'll run back into the park.
Wow.
Now, when I did this with this group, they loved it, and I've kept in contact with them since, and it's such an important thing. I thought, like I said, it was a bit of a joke, but these farmers, they're working, they do traditional farming, they're digging with a hoe, and they're planting their crops, and then the elephant, which is protected, the humans are not protected so much, but the elephants are protected, and they're in the national park, and they just think, they'll come and eat these wonderful crops and destroy these people's incomes, and they even camp out to stop them, and people get killed and stuff like this. So the elephant bee fence is this natural way of stopping them.
And so it's been very successful.
Yeah, it has. It's been the one that I've done is actually they've extended upon it, and the group, the Omushaka beekeepers, who they're really involved. So of course they switch the fence on by looking after the bees, other than having empty beehives. So they look after the bees, and they get honey. And
did you teach them? Is there any
we train them as well.
Yeah.
But there was a few skilled beekeepers there.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is sort of an initiative that sort of drove things forward. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So with the honey, are you exporting to?
We have local and export markets.
Yeah.
Actually, on the elephant fencing, there is a link as well
great.
on Malaika Honey. So if you want to learn about it, you can look at the link.
We will.
Yeah,
I will post a link to Malaika Honey.
Fantastic.
Yeah, for people to have a look.
So so in terms of trade, so how we work is we work through. Traditionally, what's happening with charity is a lot of charity push through training and giving away of beehives, and I've done a lot of that, and I find that the farmers aren't motivated to really get involved just through doing that. The creation of markets is what primarily stimulates these guys to really get into beekeeping, because
this is a form of income for them, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course,
to survive.
Income through the honey production, but also pollination. And so we're seeking to raise awareness on that, but primarily what I found was that there's a lot of giving away of beehives, and then you come back and you find a lot of empty beehives. So, and when I went out there originally, there was no honey. There was just a lot of talk on honey production. So we found creation of good markets as a way of stimulating development, and so that's primarily what we.
So is it available in Australia, this honey?
No.
So what countries do you use the?
Well, mostly our honey is where we supply in Uganda is the label's not tonight honey.
Okay.
And but then we are selling here in Australia. I mean, we've got some export markets to Korea. We export propolis. Korea and China,
right.
and some exports to the US.
Yeah.
But majorly, my interest is in improving honey technique with the farmers.
Yes.
And improving the quality of honey, and actually stopping imported honeys coming in, because we're even getting honey from Australia.
Really?
In Uganda.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of these blended honeys are coming across and sold expensively. So we're going, listen guys, Ugandan honey's good. Let's promote Uganda and Uganda honey. So that's really been my focus.
Okay.
Is about that, and actually raising the standards of the honey quality. True. And the people it's a beautiful, rich natural environment. There's not a lot of commercial industry there. Subsistence farmers, they're not using a lot of pesticides and stuff like the commercial farming that's going on in a lot of developed countries. So you're getting some really kind of strong natural flavors coming through in the honey, and so we need to improve upon our techniques, and we're doing that through good interaction with bees and wearing bee suits and such things. And then the other thing...
You have Varroa too, I believe.
Oh, what?
Varroa? You have Varroa?
Varroa is there, yeah.
How are you impacted with that?
Doesn't affect
because as you know, we don't have Varroa in Australia at
yeah,
this point
like,
in time.
Yeah,
so
it's a different scenario.
we're always a bit curious, you know, how other countries manage. And so there's no chemical treatments or anything?
No, there's no... Look, I've just picked up on it and, you know, I've taken photos of the bees and got it verified as Varroa. But there's no... Yeah, doesn't seem to affect the bees.
So they seem to be... Their genetics seem to be managing it themselves?
Yeah, whether that's to do with the size of the bee, because I think I mentioned before they're slightly smaller. We also have the hive beetle, but they don't seem to be affected by that also.
Okay.
So we're seeking to improve the beekeeping, through better beekeeping, but also in the last couple of years, and one of the reasons why I've been coming out here is through queen rearing. So I've been studying that and trying to pick up on that that art,
Yeah, which I believe it is, yes.
Yeah, so I you know, we rely on wild swarms and a lot of farmers aren't getting as much honey as they probably could, so I'm very interested in queen rearing and trying to build industry and trade and also make these poor farmers wealthier. That's what we're seeking. Yeah.
So opportunities for Australian women in beekeeping to come to Uganda?
Yeah, well, as we were talking, I guess, and when I gave my presentation there was some strong female characters in beekeeping, and as we were discussing, you know, the life for a woman over there is quite tough. It's a traditional environment. The men pretty much control the household, and the women are out there doing the work. So when I turn up in the villages, you'll generally meet the women and the children. So they're out there digging, and the man's off in town trading and getting the money, and then drinking it away. That's generally speaking. But that's generally speaking. So I wouldn't want to stereotype the whole gender, but the women are having a tough time, and also the men. It's quite a challenging environment, and it's a great opportunity. I mean, I came out here to interact with beekeepers, and that was how I got to know. Is how I got to know you, for instance, and then there's this opportunity that people are most welcome to come across.
Okay. So what do you think we could offer? What do you think we could offer each other as two cultures?
Well, I think interacting. I think it'll be rewarding for both parties to, like, for me to come back here, it's paradise. Okay. And I really value this place, and Australia is a great environment, and I think it's very very life affirming, and to see how people are getting on over there. And I spend a lot of time not just with beekeepers, with people that I know, my staff, for instance. And they have a tough life, you know. A lot of them don't have family structures, absent, you know, parents. Maybe the parents have died. There's a lot of hardship stories, and spending time with them is great. It's quite meaningful, but also beekeepers fantastic. So we've got challenges over there, and having Australian women in beekeeping coming across would be fantastic. It'd be a great opportunity, and we'll seek to host them as much as possible. So we're at in the stages of building 2 training sites. One in Gulu in the north, which is traditionally LRA territory, which is Lord's Resistance Army. People can look up if they don't already know. Okay. And we're building a training site there where we're seeking to do the queen rearing. And then also another one just outside of Kampala. Okay. So we're building those sort of training sites. So we'd like to do more training and interacting, and then we have our outreach centres around Uganda, where we create the markets. So just to summarise on that aspect, it's a push-pull mentality. Was we're pushing, we're giving people resources, and then we're creating markets. So that's really been a winning formula for us. And What else can I say?
Fantastic. Sounds absolutely fantastic. And you're very passionate about it.
Thank you.
Something very close to your heart. So, well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll look forward to interviewing you again down the track and seeing how
in
things
Uganda,
have progressed.
maybe.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll show you some nice places.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Thanks, Simon.